Welcome to the podcast, y'all.
We're talking wellness today.
Wellness.
Why?
Why
the
not?
wellness?
Why not wellness? I feel like it's a topic for both of us that we can just dive right in, talk about our journeys, potentially when we started wellness.
Yeah. So what does wellness mean to you, though?
I think wellness means all aspects of physical, mental, and spiritual.
Okay.
So really first starting, it can start physically, like that then ties into how you feel inside with confidence and building up your self-worth.
Yeah.
And then really connecting self with whoever you want to talk to. So whether it is God or the universe or whoever you want to call that, and just having a connection with that. I think that my wellness journey, I feel, started even way before working here.
Mm-hmm.
I had been practicing yoga since like 2009.
Okay.
It was like way back when. And I knew that that was a part of it which really accelerated my journey. Because I feel like if I didn't have a very consistent practice with yoga, then everything is just going to like fall out of place. That's kind of like what I felt and believed. And even, I mean, I've talked about the story with y'all before, but even right before I got hired here, I've been already practicing yoga, but then I was fired or laid off from a job that I was working at for almost 2 or 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. And I remembered even posting something like, this was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And that post was also me practicing yoga. And I think that I remembered kind of getting into it just for the physical aspect of it because I was like, ooh, cool, like it's going to help me with climbing. But little did I know I was going to fall in love with that practice. And I think that even till this day, like I still practice and I still feel the really great benefits of it. And I hope that people, like not only if it's not yoga, it could be anything else in regards to like a physical practice, whether it's walking or jogging or running or boxing or whatever actually like makes your body move physically. I think that's like a really great start.
Yeah. As far as wellness goes, though, usually there's a trigger, right? Like something happens, whether it's your physical, whether it's your emotional, your mental, whatever it is. What was it for you that really made you look at things differently and say, oh, yoga is, the right direction for me?
What made me think that yoga was the right direction for me? Well, back then, I remembered actually just being in different relationships, meaning I've had ex-boyfriends in which that I remembered starting the practice with one of my ex-boyfriends and then like almost thinking that because we started together, like it was almost like ours. But then I really stepped foot and like, no. He doesn't own it. Like it can be mine. And I remembered I was at a really low point in that phase of my life. And I was like, ugh, like woe is me, like kind of like putting myself down for not being the best person that I could be for him, or that he was not the best person for me at that time. And the journey for me to like really realize just like yoga in itself was good for me was just continuing the practice. Because not a lot of people, honestly, can stick with a hobby for over a year. And for the fact that I was continuing it like after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I think after maybe 4 or 5 that year mark, I was like, oh my God, I need to teach this.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, I think that I don't necessarily have to tell people that they should try it or do it. Like if I continue practicing myself, like I'll still get people like asking me what I even do. They're like, oh yeah. Like even yesterday, there was a woman, she was like, hey, so do you go to the gym or work out? And I was like flat out, I don't go to the gym. I literally just practice yoga. I do rock climbing. I teach pole fitness and I practice that. And because I want to continue doing all of those things, there are other layers that I continue to do in my daily habits that I feel like are really, again, continuing to accelerate my journey in wellness. So I feel like I eat better because of it, right? I feel like I want to stay hydrated. So I like I don't really measure how much water I drink, but my canteen is about 20 milliliters or whatever that's called. I don't know the volume of water.
Ounces?
I think it's ounces.
20 ounces.
It's 24 ounces. And so for my body weight, I have to at least drink 3 of these per day.
Okay.
For my body weight.
Okay.
If you're a little bit taller, then that might be completely different. So if I'm not drinking at least 3 of these per day, I feel like a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, what are the benefits do you think that either came from or kind of, I guess, subsequently after starting yoga happened?
I make a little bit better decisions, like on what I want to do with my day, my weekends. You know, it's funny because even back then, I'll be completely honest, like I would like work in the day or like the Monday through Friday, I would literally party all weekend, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then feel like shit again on Monday. But then I was like, oh, I'm still practicing.
And that was just the routine, right?
Yeah.
Like you were like, well, that's just how it is. And then Monday you're slumped over,
Yeah.
you know, because of that. Yeah.
But then I would still practice yoga because I'm like, well, because I'm practicing yoga, I'm still feeling great. Like,
right. There's balance in life.
There's balance in life. I can still go hard. But I was like, even like now, I'm even at least I'm vocal about my boundaries when it comes to partying or having like a good time. Like I was sharing with you this past weekend, I'm like, hey, I'm going to have some people over, but I'm going to be like, I'm planning on not drinking this weekend just for my health reasons. No other things, you know, like what we always make a joke like, oh, once you stop drinking, you're like, someone thinks you're pregnant.
Are you pregnant?
No, I'm not even pregnant. I'm not pregnant yet. We'll see. But I actually do want to start a family soon. So I have to really evaluate my decisions. So if that means, okay, I'm not going to be drinking this weekend, that's okay. Like I can tell my friends, like, I'm not drinking this weekend. Like if you guys want to come over, I'm still happy to accommodate you. Like, let me know what you guys want. Right. And thankfully they're like, I'm actually good on drinking. I'm like, yes, I found a really great source of friendships that are very much open and like, they don't judge me for not doing that, you know? And I feel like that decision is a little bit easier when you have people that are backing you up in it. You know, back, I think it was like 2015 too, I started breaking out a lot. You were like, I feel like I met you right in that area.
I like don't remember it because maybe it's been just so long ago, or like I only remember like this version of you, you know? So,
and I remembered because during that time I was actually taking classes at Fullerton College. Like I was taking anatomy courses, and then like I was planning on getting my physical therapy degree at that point, or like at least my kinesiology degree to potentially work in PT. So I was taking a bunch of courses, and that also I feel like really stressed me out. And so even with that, like my face like blew up in like a lot of acne, like cystic acne and things like that. And I remembered, I'm like, dude, this doesn't happen like, why is this happening as an adult? You know? And I had it when I was younger, like when I was in high school and whatever. And I felt like that same stresses kept on coming up. And just like, again, evaluating.
Did you ever tie though the acne to the stress then? Or did you just say like, oh, it's just my face, like I just need to clean it more?
I think I connected it with stress, plus just even my posture and being actually very aware with what I was doing with my hands.
So you weren't sitting like this, you know, with your hand on your chin or whatever. Yeah.
Do you remember me talking about that a long time ago?
No, I did the same. Like I would notice when I would do this and, I would break out in that area. But then after you'd be like this and you're like, well, I don't want people to see my acne. So I would talk with my hand around my face so that, you know, you were just so self-conscious about it all.
Yeah. Because at that time when I was taking classes, I remembered always being in class just like... I don't even want to touch my face right now. And so I broke out everywhere, like all on my face, my chin, my jawline, all of that stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be very conscious about what I'm doing with my body, my hands, and then just like see how that all goes. Yeah. And I think I had it for a good, I want to say between 6 and 9 months for me. And after like everything really cleared up, I'm like, I'm very thankful about just like going through that because I know what it feels like to have it, like being very self-conscious, very insecure. Right. There was even a moment where I had some friends that were like, hey, we're going to go outdoor climbing. Like you should come. And I almost like didn't want to go because going outdoors, like you don't wear makeup, right? Like you kind of just like go bare face, like no one's like trying to get ready or anything like that. But I even remembered bringing concealer with me during that time because I was like, I need to cover up my zits.
Right.
But apart from that, again, on a physical level, you then really think about what's happening on the internal level. And so there was a lot of things that I felt like I needed to work on. And outside of just like, okay, I'm doing all of my workouts and things like that, I had to really understand like what I was also doing and eat, like what I was eating.
Right.
And so I think that I feel like I have a very well balanced diet currently. I don't restrict anything, honestly. It's just more if I want to eat it, eat it. If I'm craving something, I'll eat it. And then really understanding portions.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy just how I continue to do that because I'm like, I could eat pasta and still feel good. Granted, I don't eat a shit ton of pasta. I just eat a good little portion of it. I talked about it because I have it for lunch today.
Okay.
But I know that you have a very similar journey very recently. And I feel like right now you're glowing, Dre. Like you are so much glowing, like you're glow up right now. And
Thanks.
I feel like even with that, if you don't mind sharing about your own journey too with it.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I got off of birth control, not for any specific, like, you know, usually people get off of birth control to get pregnant, right? Yeah. And for me, it was like, no, I had started my wellness journey then, and I started seeing all these videos and, you know, articles about like birth control. It's really not great for you. It's, you know, manipulating your insides, your hormones, and really at the end of the day, a lot of people have had rough go at getting pregnant because they've been on birth control for so long. And so I was like, I'm responsible. You know, I'm not a 16-year-old girl. So birth control, you know, if you really get into the nitty gritty of it, you know, your cycle, understanding your cycle and whatnot. So got off of birth control. And I remember 6 months later, I was flying to Hawaii for my cousin's wedding. And that was during the era of COVID. So I was wearing a mask. And then I got off of the airplane and I was like, whoa. Like, I have 2 zits on my chin, and I was like, and I'm in a wedding. So I was like, it's probably just because I was wearing a mask for 5-6 hours on the plane, where it can just get dirty and your face gets greasy and all that oily stuff. And so I just saw it as that. And then it just wouldn't go away. And it was a little bit here, a little bit there. And then it just got to the point that after a year, I was like, I have to do something. It's not just during, you know, before I start my cycle. It's not during a certain time. It was just month long. And it was go, you know, again and again, another zit. One would go away and I'd get so excited and then another one would pop up. And so I was like, that's interesting. So I changed my products. I started getting facials every month. Still nothing changed. It would maybe change for a couple days. Then decided, okay, let me go to a dermatologist. Okay. Went to a dermatologist. They gave me some topical stuff. And then they put me on a pill called spironolactone. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was on it immediately, you know, no more acne. And I was like, sick, great. And then I go in for my check-in and they're like, okay, we're going to continue this pill for you. And I was like, okay, but the point of me getting off of birth control was to not ingest something that is not natural, right? Yeah. And so I was like, when can I get off of this pill? And they're like, oh, about that, you can't. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, really, the only time that someone will get off of this pill is when they want to get pregnant. And they're like, are you thinking of getting pregnant? And I was like, no, but I don't, like, what is the point of me getting off of one pill to continue another one? And they were like, well, I'm going to be honest with you.
This is like a year ago, right?
This is like a year and a half ago, maybe at this point. They're like, we're going to be honest with you. And I was like, okay, please do. And they said, well, it is actually a testosterone blocker. And so because you've gotten off of your birth control, now your levels are now kind of trying to balance themselves, but now you have too much testosterone. So we want to give you this pill so that it stops it, and that stops your acne. And I'm like, hold on, what? And they're like, and I was like, what does it have to do with the pregnancy? And they said, well, if you have a boy fetus, it will actually feminize it. And they quote unquote, they told me this. And I was like, you're telling me you gave me a pill for my acne that could potentially change the gender of a fetus. And they were like, yeah. And I was like,
what?
Does that not like make you scratch your head? Yeah. Like, people are taking this stuff that can change a fetus. and you're taking it to fix your acne. And I was like, but that's not where the source starts. It's not in that. There's another source. And so I said, screw it. I'm getting off of this pill. I don't care that it has cleared up my acne and whatever. I'm getting off of it. I said, nope, screw that. Yeah. Started talking to some friends that had also had the same reaction to getting off of birth control. And they said, I went to a holistic doctor, so maybe check out if you can. So I reached out to theirs, but they were, months out, and I was already starting to get a little, frustrated with what my acne looked like. And so I was like, I need results now, right? Yeah. You're not patient about it. And so I found one near me. They were great. They were exactly what I was looking for. They said, we find the source and we fix it from there, because really acne doesn't start on your skin. It starts in your gut. And so we're going to try to figure it out. Did blood work? Did stool samples? Did this? Did that? Spent a lot of money. So if anybody's looking to do this, be aware it is very expensive. So if you don't have that type of money, try to find other, remedies. But if you can, go to a holistic doctor. Now, I am going to put a little caveat. Make sure you do your research when you find a holistic doctor, because the one I went to immediately lined me up with supplements. Now, although, yes, wellness and holistic, natural and organic, I was taking probably 7 to 10 different capsules a day of just different things.
Herbal supplements.
And they go, and I remember when I started, I was like, perfect, I'm going to start now. It's probably going to fix it quicker, whatever. I started everything, and there is, and I can't remember the disorder, but when you start taking things that maybe your body is either lacking or not used to, your body can have a reaction to it. So you can be very tired, very sluggish. I remember I had to stop the middle of my day, take my lunch to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Because I was like, I just don't feel I can't focus. And they're like, that's normal. And I was like, okay, that's fine if this is going to fix it. And so then we did that. And then I went for my check-in. Then they were like, oh, okay, let's change it because your acne's still the same. So we're going to do this. And then they're like, we'll do a stool sample and again, very expensive every time you went. And so I was like, okay, but when? And then I would get into arguments with my parents because they're like, you're spending so much money to get a result that you're not seeing. And I'm like, but you got to be patient, right? And it's like, I understand that. It can be a journey, and your body needs to fix itself from the inside out, because they do say your skin is a reflection of the inside of your gut. So it's essentially flipping your gut inside out. So if you do have certain reactions or whatever, that's what's happening inside of your stomach. And so I understood that. And I was like, in the meantime, cover it up with makeup. It sucks, but whatever. And then I got on to another routine with them. And that's when it took a turn for the worst. I was taking what they told me was natural antibiotics, so antimicrobials. And so they're like, you're going to do this, and then in a couple weeks, we'll add you to over here. And immediately my face I had never seen it so bad, right? You saw it. It was my chin down was just inflamed, and it didn't matter. It was my skin was in consistent pain of just the cystic acne that kept growing, And so it didn't matter what I did. And for me, the myth that I always heard was go out in sun because that'll dry out your pimples or your acne, and it's good for your skin. No, if you're reacting this way to acne, the sun is actually really bad for it because it'll only start to inflame your skin even more. So it was okay, now I have to cover my skin. And now it was, anytime I would be in meetings, I would talk with my hand in front of my face because of how bad it was. And then, it looked great with makeup on. And then as soon as I would take it off, I would have a freak attack because of how bad it had gone. Even worse. We would go to conferences and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. And so I got to the point that I said, enough is enough. I had spent thousands upon thousands of dollars with this holistic doctor that had not even given me any kind of relief. Yeah. It was more of it only progressively got worse and it didn't help. So I got off of it. I took my parents' advice of just go to another dermatologist. Yeah. They might be able to help you and be a little bit more aware of what they're giving you. And so I went to another dermatologist. I told them my entire journey. I told them I am not taking spironolactone. If you want to give me anything topical that'll help, perfect. And I said, but I want to take more of a holistic route. And so they were like, get on turmeric. They have turmeric capsules, put it in your food. Ashwagandha is good for stress because they're like, you might think that you're not stressed, but you are.
Yeah.
Your body reacts differently. So stress is definitely something that maybe meditate. I hadn't taken up meditating because I just thought, like, I can't sit there in peace for 5 to 10 minutes. I cannot do that. And I tried it, and it's amazing, right? So went to a dermatologist and obviously started following some influencers on Instagram and social media platforms that kind of also have taken the same route as the holistic. So started changing my diet. I started, being a little bit more aware of what is affecting or reacting to when I'm eating something. So if I react to a burger from whatever place, maybe don't eat that. That's your body telling you, I don't want that, and that's actually hurting me.
Yeah.
Everybody is different. So when someone tells you, like, why don't you drink dairy milk? And it's like, well, the pasteurization and the process that this milk has gone through actually is hurting my body. So that's why I'm going a different route. Drink raw milk. That's good for you if you don't react to it. So it's really a matter of being aware of what you are ingesting. And it can take a very long time to get your body back to square one. Yeah. I've noticed I've been a little bit too lenient this past month of what I was eating, and I started to see reactions, not necessarily acne, but more of like how I was feeling inside, because what you're eating is what you are. Yeah. So whatever saying that is of you are what you eat, exactly that. If you're eating a ton of stuff that is processed, that is full of preservatives, that is full of fillers and gum and whatever, and you're questioning, why do I feel this way? Why do I keep getting headaches? For me, that was it, right? So it's just a matter of like being aware, what is affecting me? How am I reacting to this food? I know a lot of people have tried the like Whole30, where they kind of just go to Whole Foods and then slowly
eliminate
or introduce the foods that they were eating before. To really see, you have to get your body back to square one of just eating whole foods wherever you can. Make sure you're eating organic. Make sure that you're looking into the Dirty Dozen, things like that, because those are things that I was never aware of. Like, ooh, I'm eating spinach, like it's so good for me. But really, if you don't realize it, it's covered in pesticides and all that stuff if you're not eating it organic.
Yeah.
I know it can be expensive, of course, but really, like, what is the value on a healthy body?
Yeah.
I don't think that there is one. You have to spend that kind of money to be able to, and maybe not always, but look into maybe the Dirty Dozen. We have window cleaners. Hi, guys.
That's funny.
But it's just a matter of like trying to do it the healthy way.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it by taking all these pills and then questioning yourself why why your skin is a certain way, why you can't take the weight off, like my mom is going through that journey right now because she's on a cancer medication for 10 whole years that has made her gain a ton of weight that she can't put off. But it's because of this pill. And they're like, yeah, it's just a side effect. And it's like, well, you kind of have to weigh your pros and cons here and weigh, okay, if she gets off of that, there's potential for it to come back. Yeah. So for her, it's like, I'm going to wait a couple years, but she eats super healthy. So it's like, at least have the foundation and make sure that, you really research what you're ingesting, because I even see on Instagram and Facebook, like all these like, oh, take this pill and it'll rebalance your hormones, because that's what they're telling you, that your acne is an imbalance of your hormones, which 100%. But what causes your hormones to become imbalanced is your gut.
Yeah.
So anything that you're eating is actually causing that.
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing these advertisements of these pills and I look and I see that one of the ingredients is spironolactone, I'm like, holy crap, how can you actually advertise for a product like this? And I'll look into the comments, and even the comments are like, how can you guys be doing this?
Yeah.
How can you be advertising and putting this out there like this
a magic pill.
This magic pill, and people are buying it, and then once they get off of it, they're like, why is my acne back? And it's like, because that just put a Band-Aid on what you had. It didn't fix the problem. And that's been like the biggest thing for me. And I hate to judge people that are like, I can't fix this problem. And it's like, well, did you realize all these other things that you were doing that are not helping you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, wellness is a journey for sure.
Yeah.
I am grateful for how my skin looks now, because there were times that I did not want to go. I did not want to go anywhere. Yeah. And I can sympathize with people that are dealing with that right now, because it was awful.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I know.
Even going to the gym where no one looks pretty, right? Yeah. And I was like, I would like hide behind the Stairmaster, or like do certain things. And like, if I saw people that I knew, I would like avoid them at all costs. And it sucks.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have been there, because I remember posting about it and people were like, oh my gosh, same thing happened to me. This is what kind of helped me. Try it out. Now, just because of what I'm saying doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Try it out though. Because if I could create some kind of holistic magic capsule that actually is good for everybody, I wish I could, but every body is different.
Yeah.
So that's my wellness journey.
No, I completely agree. I think that I want to just pinpoint even like eating as many whole foods as you can. There was a point where, I mean, we still get organic vegetables, and it's funny because we're like, before we even started going organic, we'll be like, well, it's expensive, but they say it's good for you. And so like, we kind of want to test things out. And so for a few months we were doing Whole Food. Like we shopped at Whole Foods mainly because we lived around there.
Right.
And then just like bought all of our organic fruits, vegetables or whatever. And then we moved, like, so we recently moved, and like, even at the Ralph's that we go to, we are more inclined to go organic. We're like looking at it. And for whatever reason, I still believe in it as far as organic food, just because of the way I feel. Right. And I've tested it out. And like you said, everybody is completely different. Every body's body is different. And I have been studying or self-studying myself, even whenever I do eat food and it's hard for me to go out to restaurants without getting a reaction, because a lot of the food that I know that I'm allergic to when it comes down to eggs,
100%.
like egg product, they're mixed in every different sauce or aioli or in the batter of something like that. And I get home and I'm itchy and I'm just like, I knew it. Like, I shouldn't have done it. And then it was something that I felt very insecure about for a while, because I hated being that person like, oh, I can't, can you please adjust my food because I am like allergic to this, this, and this. And some people actually don't even know that mayo is like 100% egg. It's like egg and oil, and that's it.
But for you actually are allergic to egg.
Yeah.
The problem is that there is this stereotype of people that are going to go to a restaurant and go, I want gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, corn-free, anything free, when really they don't have a reaction. They just think that's the healthiest way to eat.
Yeah.
But if your body actually benefits from, corn or dairy, then continue to eat it. It's just the stereotype has hurt people that actually have reactions. And that is the worst part, because everyone looks at you and that's why you feel judged. I feel judged the same way of like, when I was going through it, they were like, oh, don't eat gluten. And so it's like when you ask for that and people are like, well, here we go. You just want kale, but yeah, it sucks because you actually have an allergic reaction to eggs, and people might feel like, oh, here we go, another one. Yeah. Just because she's in Southern California, they all eat kale salads and smoothies.
I know. And I'm actually very thankful, because even whenever we end up happen to go out, Charles is actually very aware of it too. He's the one that'll ask for me, because again, for myself to be like, I'm allergic to it, he'll be like, no, you are allergic to it, just ask. And I needed to set my foot down on it, because even whenever we go on outings and stuff like that, I'm just like, I'm okay without it. Or like, I will eat a salad without sauce or dressing, because I know that a lot of it is made with some type of product that I'm allergic to. I like this topic a lot. Yeah. But it does come from self-study. One thing that I know that I continue to push back on my calendar, I'll be very honest, I haven't gone to the doctor in a long time, which I need to. Like, I hadn't gone since pre-COVID. But it's one, I mean, I was doing a lot of virtual visits because of COVID during that time. And then after COVID, and even now, I'm like, shoot, I need to actually go get my blood work. I want to get tested for just how I'm feeling, because I was recently not recently, but I heard a podcast and this guy was like, you should actually go to the doctor when you're feeling healthy because
fix the roof when the sun is shining.
Now you know where you are balanced, right? If you feel balanced, these are the levels that you are wanting to achieve.
Right.
And so I'm like, crap, I still need to. I have not made time to,
Right.
I'll be very honest.
Right.
I want to though. Mainly because, I pay for health insurance, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, okay, I need to take my own advice with this.
Right.
And then even Charles and I were like, okay, we'll set up an appointment within the next couple of weeks. And it's not like we're feeling sick or anything. It's just that we know.
Right.
I know that you talked a lot about your skin journey and that wellness. Are there any other tips and tricks that you feel like you would like to share with the audience that you currently add into your routine?
Yeah. One for sure for the women, and I haven't looked into it for the men, but definitely cycle syncing your food and your workouts. So what that means is there are 4 phases in your cycle. So that's menstrual, ovulatory, follicular, and luteal phase. And so during these phases, your body benefits from different nutrients. So depending on where you're at, maybe salmon or fatty fish, really good for you to eat during that phase. It's also really cool because it's not like you're sticking to the same food all month long. There's different things. And obviously there's things like making sure that your food looks like the rainbow, eating sweet potatoes and maybe red cabbage or sauerkraut, things that are fermented. You can go on Pinterest and
it's really good for your gut.
It's so great for your gut. But you can go on Pinterest, which is what I do, and I literally look up like recipes for luteal phase. I have like a hair in my chin. There we go.
Take that chin part out. Yeah.
But it's really cool because it'll tell you like what are you going to feel better with. So if you're eating like red meat during your menstrual phase and beets and things like that, it actually helps you. It even will tell you when you should have caffeine, when you shouldn't have caffeine. And if you're like, that's not for me, I need to have my caffeine, well, maybe cut down how much of caffeine you're having during that phase. So if you want to do half decaf, which is all, if I do that with a latte or something, definitely cycle syncing your workouts even, during your menstrual period, you want to be doing more lighter things like yoga and meditating and things like that. And then during your ovulatory luteal, you want to do more of the strength training, which I have I am in love with more strength training. Before I was just doing cardio, but that also is kind of counterintuitive to the phases because you don't want to just be doing that constantly. You want to be strength training. Looking at recipes, making sure that you have a well-balanced diet. And then all these myths of like counting your calories, like throw that out the window. Yeah. The whole 1,400 calories, the amount of people I've had it, and it's usually older people that want to tell you like, I'm on a new diet and I'm counting my calories. And it's like, okay, what does that mean for you? And it's like, well, that means that I'm only doing 1,400 calories and this is what I'm eating. I'm eating a cracker for breakfast because that's 100 calories. And then I'm eating a salad for lunch. And then for dinner, I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A because then that closes up my 1,400. And I'm like, just because you're eating 1,400 calories doesn't mean that those are good calories. Yeah. So it's like you really want to be looking into what you're eating. You want to eat a lot. You need to be eating a lot. As women, we burn a lot of calories, especially depending on the phase that you're in, right? So making sure that you do include protein, include veggies, include carbs. Freaking love carbs. But make sure that they're good, right? Don't eat bread that has a ton of preservatives and
Dave's bread.
All this stuff. Love Dave's bread. Yeah. Even I know a lot of people in my circle right now are super hot on the like make your own sourdough bread, right? Sourdough is great. It also, fun fact, has the lowest amount of gluten when it comes to if you are trying to either stay away from it or sensitive to it. That is a good bread to eat because it is fermented. Yeah. So it's just trying to find little things that work for you, I think. Trying to think of what else I've implemented. Definitely have your caffeine after you've eaten. Think of it as alcohol. If you are someone that drinks alcohol, you're not going to drink alcohol in an empty stomach, right? Same thing with caffeine, because if you don't like the jitters, which I don't think I haven't met anybody that really likes their jitters, but that essentially is what's happening. And it's the first thing that if you are on an empty stomach, it's the first thing that your gut is touching, and your gut is very sensitive to the acid in coffee. So I know that people are like, there's acid in coffee.
I know. I'll talk about that really quickly, because as far as when I was kind of structuring my day, I will drink coffee about 45 minutes after I wake up. I actually don't consume breakfast. My first meal of the day is lunch typically, but because I fill my coffee with collagen protein and then MCT oil, right? So it's like I'm still getting the fatty parts of what I need to stimulate my brain.
For sure.
But again, everyone else is different.
For sure.
I do invest in Bulletproof coffee and like their products, because I know it's clean and I know right? And I don't feel the jitters of like if I'm drinking a cold brew, an espresso from like a different restaurant, and I'm just like, I need to hold on to my horses because it's like I'm bouncing off the walls here. I don't ever feel like that. It's very sustained energy.
Yep.
And I've been doing it now, I want to say since actually probably COVID, like a couple of years. I'm on their subscription plan.
100%.
Because I don't have to
my
think
new
about
collagen
it.
yesterday.
Yeah. And I like that. And I know it can be a little bit expensive, but I invest in things that are in regards to wellness.
I've been able to trick my brain into starting to like things that before I did not, only
Like
because
what?
I knew the benefit of it. Hated seafood. All of a sudden, it's like, and I'm not getting deep fried like Popeye's shrimp, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Grilled
I'm buying really good salmon because that actually tastes great. Before it was like for me the texture or something about it.
Like it's fishy.
But then once you learn the benefits of what a lot of fish have, and you can air fry it, you can grill it, you can do all these fun recipes with it, and really enjoy it. That's when your mind goes, oh wait, this is good for you. So you should like it, right? Yeah. Like even like cottage cheese. A great example, whole fat cottage cheese has a ton of protein in it. So throw it into a shake. I made pumpkin pancakes the other day with it. And I was like, this is great. You know, things that you always were like, ooh, I don't know. Try it first.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, oh, well, I don't like kale, so let me go try like a raw piece of kale. Don't do that. You know, find recipes that have it integrated and, you know, see, is this something that you can manage to eat and understand like all the value that it's bringing to your body and the energy that it can make. Yeah. Because if you're eating really good, you're going to feel really good. Yeah. That was the biggest thing for me in my journey was before I would go into a meal and go, well, I know I'll be, you know, hitting up the bathroom in a little bit, but that's like, that was normal. You know, my mind was like, that's normal. And then after you realize like, no, be aware of what is affecting you and how it's affecting you, because you shouldn't be running to the restroom after you eat something. And if you are, maybe not good for you, right? Yeah. Or maybe you have to remove some ingredient in it. So it was like, now I like feel normal. Now I can have, you know, ginger tea and all these things that make me feel good. And like you said, like I hate being judged for where I want to eat. Like anytime Chris is like, okay, where do you want to eat? And I'm like, somewhere good, you know, and you know what my like standard of good is. Yeah. I don't want to go to like last night, Sarah had called me and she was like, I'm running through the Del Taco drive-through because we just didn't have time. And I was like, oh, okay, nice. I was like, I would have made time to go somewhere else. I don't care if I was going to be like, if I'm hungry and I want to eat something, either have the food at home or go somewhere that actually has the food that you know sits well with your body. Yeah,
I haven't, within the last few years, I can count on my hand how many times I've been to a fast food restaurant. And I think the only fast food restaurant that I would potentially go to or had gone to was El Pollo Loco, just because of like the chicken. And it's still considered fast food. But other than that, I feel like I've quit fast food just because I didn't really like the feeling. And then I would much rather make a chicken sandwich at home with my air fryer rather than just buying it at the store or like buying it at the fast food restaurant. You don't know what's in it, right? Like especially chicken that obviously these fast food chains, they have to buy the cost effective one.
And what is that one? That's the
with fillers.
The poor chickens that are all stuffed in a cage and they're getting fat because they're, you know, pumped with hormones and all these crazy things. Yeah. And you're eating it, and then your body is ingesting it and literally taking in all that stuff. And now you're like, oh, why do I feel like crap for a week long? It's because you're eating the wrong things that are full of this crap. Yeah. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell. I mean, I get it if there are families that are in a pickle and they need to get food quickly. I am not judging you on
100%,
that. Right.
Yes.
There are people that are like, I can't make dinner tonight because I had like to pick up my kids from school. Right. Like I already had work all through the day, and I get it. So again, no judgment in regards to that. But if you do have the time and energy to at least be able to cook a home cooked meal, I would definitely want to go on that route. So I feel like as a married woman now, I am very thankful that my husband and I do cook. He's been a wonderful person in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Like he has been picking up a lot of the weight, especially with like my current schedule right now. Mm-hmm. And like it's very simple dishes. Like we don't have to eat very extravagant meals like a steak or whatever. Like we're very basic. Right. We'll make chicken and broccoli, carrots, bok choy, like making all of these vegetables that we love.
Put a seasoning on it, and you're like, wow. You know?
I'm a chef.
And don't make small portions either. Like, make what you will eat and what will stuff you. As long as it's veggies, you're being like stuffed with the right stuff. You know, it's not deep fried, and then you feel hungry in an hour.
Yeah. What's crazy to me, so I had to really learn this and like unlearn a lot of these things, is just like the relationship with food. Because once I really switched and reframed it for myself, because as women, we do burn a lot of calories. I always used to judge myself on the amount of food that I would put on Charles's plate and the food that I would put on my plate. And so I would always tend to lean to a very small portion because I was like, I'm a small person, so I have to eat this, only this. And then make a large plate for him.
And they always tell you your eyes are bigger than your stomach.
Yeah, but it's funny because I'll always end up going for seconds, right? And so instead of that, I would just make myself the full freaking plate of things. Right. Same with Charles. And for whatever reason, he's already full. And I'm just like, I am eating it all up because we just cooked some great ass food, right? And so I just had to relearn it. I didn't have to judge myself for like wanting to eat more because I actually do burn more calories than him in a way because I exercise more than he does. He stands all day for work. I can't judge him for that.
Right.
Like his
more
work,
manual labor.
He's doing more manual labor.
Same boat, for sure.
With you and Chris, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I do understand that his energy is completely different than mine whenever I come home because I'm always like, let's go and do something and like, let's go on a walk or I'm going to practice yoga or I'm going to practice pole. Let's go climbing. Like I'm always like trying to pull teeth sometimes with him. But I recognize that his body and his energy is completely different than mine. So again, everything that we're sharing today on these topics is because we're doing a lot of research on ourselves. Doesn't mean that it's going to be completely and 100% perfect for you, 100%. But try things out. Try things out that work. Yeah. Aside from just like the physical aspect of it, like exercising and eating, I don't currently have my Oura ring, but I do still measure my sleep. I measure my sleep by how many hours I'm actually putting in, plus how I'm actually feeling when I wake up in the morning. What's really cool lately is that I've been waking up even before my alarm goes off. Like my body clock is just like, gotta get up. Yeah. And there are even, like on the weekend, sometimes there's a few times where I don't put my alarm on and I wake up.
Maybe a little bit later. Yeah. But you still wake up.
But I still wake up. And I'm like, wow, this is nice. Like I'm actually feeling very refreshed because I am teaching on the weekends. I don't want to ever be late. I actually feel a little bit nervous and anxious if I'm like, I'm going to be late. I hate being late. But I still wake up. So just like really evaluating like what time schedule works for you. I know that you definitely sleep a little bit earlier than I do. I typically sleep between 11 and 12 a.m. Yeah. Right? And so I'll wake up between like
11 and
11 p.m. and 12 a.m. Like that's kind of my window for me.
Wow.
I know. Because
so different.
I know. That's why I'm saying that. Yeah. And then I'll wake up around 6:30 like
Okay.
on the dot
So
on the
you
mornings.
only need, what, 6-7 hours to sleep?
Yeah.
Nice.
For me.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I love that you brought up Aura because it has definitely been a great tool because one, you want to beat it. You know, anytime you have something, a number that you're getting, you want to get better. And so it not only scores your sleep, but it also scores your activity and your readiness for the day. So although you might think, well, you're letting a ring tell you what your readiness is for the day is kind of stupid. Because I know that it was kind of hard for Chris to, he was like, what's your score today? How did you sleep
Does
last
he have one
night?
as well?
No, he doesn't.
No?
But
Okay.
he kind of was like making fun of me that I was literally basing my day or how my sleep went off of a ring. And it's not that. It's one, I wake up and I'm feeling a little weird. And whether I felt really restless or whatever throughout the night, I'll look at my score and it'll tell me like, hey, your deep sleep was really, really low. Hey, your REM sleep was super low too. And it'll even tell you when your body actually woke up throughout the night.
When it moves.
And so it'll tell you in your readiness score, hey, why don't we take today a little bit, slower.
Easier.
Don't do anything too crazy. Or, hey, you've gotten a great night of sleep. Are you up for doing something fun? Doing something a little bit more
active.
More active.
Yeah.
So that's really cool because it's tying back to like, yes, this is how I'm feeling, or hey, this is what my levels, my breathing has told my ring. Maybe I do that so that tomorrow I can wake up feeling refreshed and whatnot. But yes, sleep for me, I've become a lot more aware of it, obviously, because for me it was like, you can sleep when you're dead, wake up as early as possible, 5 a.m. club, like let's get up before all of our competitors. Like that was my mindset. And however, I'm still like very active in the mornings, early mornings. I have realized if you go to sleep earlier, wake up earlier, you're still getting your full night's rest and you feel so much better than like literally having to tape your eyelids open and drinking your coffee until you're ready to go, right?
Yeah.
And so now it's like, take it a little bit slower in the morning so that you're not so rushed.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I have been doing recently is wake up. And my alarm, I also will wake up before my alarm. And I'm like, before I used to get pissed off because I was like, I want to sleep to my alarm.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, it woke me up because I'm ready to get up. And so have a slower morning, have your coffee before you have to like deal with all the calls or whatever. That's been a big thing. Sleep, I think, is a really big thing. If you feel so sluggish in the morning, start playing around and experimenting with when you're going to sleep and when you're getting up. Just because I go to sleep early doesn't mean you have to. You go to sleep at 11 p.m. Some people go to sleep differently.
Yeah.
And everyone's schedule is different, so that's totally understandable. It's just take these tips and apply them to your own life. Not necessarily exactly what we're saying, but try to figure it out. Because I tried a lot of different things before I got to what worked for me. A lot of different things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, hormone balancing capsules and do this and maybe you should the 1,400 calories or whatever it is. So sleep for sure has been one of the biggest things. And then meditating. That's a cool thing about Aura. It has meditations on there.
Yeah.
And so I usually only do that before I go to sleep. And Chris will say, like, you sleep like a freaking mummy anytime you have that thing because it's like I go straight into deep sleep, that's how you want to sleep like that,
You'll feel so much rest.
Oh my God, it's so great.
I know. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, thanks.
It's been great watching your journey too, Dre. I think it's really cool. I love witnessing it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is 11. Wow. Well, I think that we should totally talk about this topic again because I feel like there's so much that can go into it.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, do your own work, everyone.
Well, thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.